What's up, everybody? It's Monday. I'm Mover, and today we are going to talk about the Ghost of Kyiv. It has been widely asked for by you. I've gotten hundreds of emails and questions and comments and stuff. We talked a little bit about the invasion of Ukraine on the last live Mover mailbag, and there was a lot of stuff on there. I expressed a little bit of skepticism on a video, hurt some feelings, so I'm sorry about that. I don't. Anything we talk about here is analytical. It is not meant to downplay what's going on in Ukraine and the casualties and the losses, especially women and children and stuff like that. It's not intended to make light of anything that's going on. It's very serious. In fact, part of my intent today is to talk about the seriousness of war, which I think gets lost when we start talking about tales from the battlefield. So to help me out today, I've brought back Wombat, T.R. Matson, author of, hold on, it always does that, author of Treason Flight, former E2C pilot, and current Mustang driver, and also Hornet pilot and paddles. Hello, welcome back.
Hi, Mover. Thanks for
I know
having
you
me.
get. So I already see the comment section is blowing up, and thank you, Justin, for that. I appreciate that. I will answer questions at the end. We kind of want. I wanted to talk through this stuff first, so don't feel upset if your questions aren't answered immediately, because this is not a mailbag. This is two fighter pilots talking about what's going on. So I kind of wanted to go chronologically and kind of how this came about and what's been going on, and then we'll talk about kind of pros and cons, if you will. So originally, this came out on, I think, Friday. What was the 25th? Yeah, Friday,
Yeah.
Thursday night into Friday. And basically, it was apparently there's a Ukrainian Fulcrum pilot, so MiG 29, who's already chalked off 6 air to air kills today against Russian forces. They had said it was 2 Su 35s, which are flankers, the advanced flanker. One Su 27, one MiG 29, and Su 25s. He's been called the Ghost of Kyiv, Godspeed, and Happy Hunting. There's been videos. A lot of people um, have pushed this from all across social media, and with anything that goes viral, it kind of takes legs of its own. And so from there, I've seen everything from they've shown pictures of him. That's the picture that I used in this. They showed a picture and said this is the ghost, and then as the legend grew, then it even got, I don't know if this, I haven't verified the accuracy of this one, so, but I know this bottom meme, they showed a picture of this guy and they tried to identify him. Samuel Hyde, a 36-year-old, identified. That was a meme as well. And then as it grew, I guess I can't post that one. Probably not. But probably should have posted that one. Uh, where did I just download this? I just had this. So basically, it was credited. Basically, they've now said that he's died and that he was shot down. Well,
But
they
he
had
is
said that.
he?
Well, okay, so it came out that he had died, and then I'll share this screen right now. What screen am I sharing? All right,
Be
so
careful.
yeah, I know, right? You start hearing the boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Stop screen, wrong screen, wrong screen. That one was for later. I don't want to spoil it just yet. Chrome tab. Why is it?
Is Gonky there helping you out?
Here we go. Yeah, Conky's running my social media account. No, this is Twitter. So on Twitter, like 30 minutes ago, IT Army of Ukraine, a Ukrainian pilot, Vladimir Abdanov, has downed 6 Russian jets over Ukraine, 2 Su-35s, 2 Su-25s, 1 Su-27. So the exact story, and this says it's an official, it's an official thing. It says digitalgov.ua. So it says it's an official thing, and it posts this same picture and then posts this other picture of this other guy, which does not match the what I the story that I heard about or was given about the guy dying, which was that he was the flanker pilot. I can put that up there. I don't know where all this is. That it was the flanker pilot that was killed. So they said it was the flanker demo pilot. That's why, because it showed up as a website. Colonel Alexander Greywolf Oksenchenko came out of retirement to protect his country. He used his skills as a fighter pilot to take down the enemies attacking his country and inspire the world. The exact number of Russian aircraft he shot down will be confirmed later, but his fight to defend his country is something that won't be forgotten. Against overwhelming odds and superior aircraft he fought. Sadly, last night he had his last flight. The people of Ukraine are showing their incredible fortitude against an imposing force. A toast to the Ghost of Kyiv, the Grey Wolf. So they're crediting him with that as being the ghost. So let's break some of this down. Article came out the other day, shortly after. I've shared this before. That basically says, I'm gonna read this right now. Ghost of Kyiv probably isn't real. Rumors spread by gamers online, and it basically said, according to Channel 5 News, he had 6 victories, all that stuff. MiG-29. There was also DCS videos. That was the other thing people kept sharing with me, is DCS videos showing these air-to-air kills and crediting this. So they found out, they traced it back to the Scottish Koala. And the Scottish Koala basically said it was a 4 a.m. post on February 25th. I'm a crazy insomniac. It showed the apparent MiG-29 pilot, whom I had heard nicknamed the Ghost of Kyiv, from his Discord. And he posted it, ran with it, and it went viral. So he says he had heard a pilot had gotten a whole bunch of kills, and then, it just it took off from him. But he said he'd heard it from somewhere, and that it was real. But it wasn't his intent to sell merchandise, which is what has come out of this. A lot of people are saying the Ghost of Kyiv and all that stuff. So there's a couple issues, or at least things that have come out that I want to point out, especially from what we just showed. It's hard to say because it's meme theory, right? You don't know what's true. You don't know what to believe and all that. So on the pro side, the Su-27 pilot. So that came out, and they said, it was verified about that a Su-27 pilot had basically been he was in 831st Tactical Aviation Brigade, and he had been killed, and that had been the ghost. If that's the case, the 831st Tactical Aviation Brigade is a Su-27 squadron, so it's a flanker squadron. So that discounts the entire MiG-29 part, but that's not uncommon. I mean, people get those confused all the time. People screw that up. On the MiG-29 side, there are now 3 different pilots that they're crediting this, right? There's Vladimir, which the IT Army of Ukraine has said, and then that other one that's sitting in an F-16 that you can almost immediately discount because I think that somebody just photoshopped their face on there, and then this. The kills, if we go to the kill loss, I pulled up an article. It says Ukraine says it has inflicted, this is on the day that this allegedly happened, 1,000 casualties, 2,800 troops, 80 tanks, 516 armored vehicles, and 10 aircraft. 10 airplanes, 7 helicopters. So on the day that this came out, this story accounted for 60% of all air-to-air kills in one day. It goes on to say that the Ukrainians had lost a couple aircraft as well. It doesn't say how that they were taken down. It doesn't say whether it was surface-to-air missiles. It doesn't say whether it was air-to-air kills or anything like that. It just says, that's what it is. So, Wombat, the MiG-29. I think is that about cover the summary of where it is? The
I think he's up to 10. A couple people have mentioned it. I checked on Wikipedia just prior to this, and he's up to 10 now. So
okay, so he's up to 10. The conflicting reports about whether he's died or not. I think a lot of sources are saying that he was killed in action.
Sure.
So let's go with kind of some of the stuff we know. This picture right here. This is a MiG-29 from when they upgraded to the they got the upgraded, like was it UM2 UM1, the MiG-29 upgrades that they gotten from Russia. That's from 2019. So that is nobody. That's not. I mean, it's not any of the people that we've mentioned. It's just a MiG-29 pilot. That's what we can say. We can say that the DCS videos were all fake. There have been, to my knowledge, I have not seen a single air-to-air kill. I have seen surface-to-air kills. There's a ton of surface-to-air kills, which people don't understand. When you look at the integrated air defense of the country, Ukraine is pretty robust, and they're doing some good work with surface-to-air missiles and, I mean, man pads, SAMs, because they've got the same SAMs as the Russians, and that's how they've taken down these helicopters. That's how they've taken down all these things. So it's unclear how the kills have happened, but the number of kills. I mean, I don't know. It's not disputed. It's stuff we're not going to know until much later on. For the MiG-29 itself, though, they had probably I think it was 60 to 70 of them in country at the time. I don't know what the numbers were. However, so that's not him, or at least that is not, if it's the Su-27 pilot, that's not him, because in 2019, the Su-27 pilot, the demo pilot, had actually retired, and he was flying the flanker. The idea of, so let's go one by one. If it's the Gray Wolf, which is what the most recent one is, the most verifiable source that I've seen, the most believable ones that I've seen, where it's like, hey, this USAFE guy said he had heard from his Ukrainian partners that this was the guy. He didn't transition to a MiG-29. That you don't come out of retirement from flying flankers and then hop in a MiG-29 and then become the greatest ace in all time, right? I mean, that would be like, Gonky jumping in from his Hornet days, having not flown in 4 years, and then being like, I'm a Viper, I'm a Viper ace.
Well, I would even go as far as to say it would be the equivalent of hopping into the F-35. I mean, because it's just a completely a different aircraft, and it's just not. Is it impossible? Nothing's impossible. No. Is it improbable?
Yes. Yeah. So I would say if we go down that rabbit hole, and nickel on the grass if that's true. I mean, it sucks if he was shot down, regardless of how many kills he has. If we go down that rabbit hole, none of these pictures are correct. The whole thing about MiG-29 is wrong. It's Su-27. To me, that is the most believable iteration of this Ghost, right? If there's an aircraft that you could do it with, that they have, it's the flanker. The flanker is capable. The flanker is built for this. It is a formidable opponent against everything that it's shot down. It's not as ground-controlled intercept dependent as a MiG-29. Because remember, I mean, you ever flown with a MiG-29 country? They have to be steered around like yellow gear, man. They're not going to go rage around just popping off. And then their loiter time is only 30 minutes, 20 minutes, if they're in combat, 15 minutes, a little bit less. So of these iterations of this story, the most believable is the flanker one. And honestly, I think if you took this down a notch and said, yeah, it's meme theory, it's exaggerating, and go, hey, he had 3 kills, he had 4 kills. Yeah, and then give his squadron credit. Like, if the Ghosts, plural, is his squadron, then hell yeah.
Yep.
I think that's the most realistic. And I want to back up a little bit. I want it to be true. Like every fighter pilot, I think the reason we have a bunch of fighter pilots sharing this is because we want it to be true, right? Because, it's an underdog story. It's David and Goliath. We want to have that, badass that we can count on, and it gives the people a morale boost, right? Because they're like, look, the skies are clear. We don't have to worry about, Russian fighters and stuff like that, right? I mean,
of course.
Yeah. So if that's the case, yeah, I believe that. Now, if we back up to, MiG-29 doing this, that's a tough sell. That's a really tough sell.
Yeah. It's an old plane. I mean,
and they're upgraded, but even upgraded, they're going up against Su-35s. And here's the thing that I don't understand, and I'll be completely honest. I don't understand, and I think a lot of people don't understand how this war is progressing so far.
Of course they don't.
Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't, like, we have expected the Russians to have, superior equipment, superior numbers, to just go in and steamroll. And even though, it took us 2 to 3 weeks to get to Baghdad and take Baghdad. You know, people expected 4 days for this to be over. I think the Russians expected in 4 days for this to be over.
Well, you can see that based on the reports of the amount of gas and food and munitions and all that.
But when you look at the air picture, you know, you got to expect a contested, denied, degraded environment, right? You have to be expecting them to be using jammers and comm jamming. You know, you have to be expecting the Ukrainians to be at a disadvantage just by the nature of, you know, you can't talk, you can't, you know, the radars burn through, you know, it's real short range stuff. And then also, I would have expected, and again, we don't know the truth that's coming out, I would have expected the Russians to just pummel these airfields, to take them out before they even got airborne.
Strategically, sure, that would make sense.
Yeah. So, and that's part of the reason, you know, there's reports now that Poland is going to give the Ukrainians MiG-29s and stuff. So, I mean, there's obviously been some heavy losses of aircraft. Now, whether they were on the ground or in the air, I don't know. You know, we're not getting a full picture. And so, you know, it's hard to say one way or another. I think with everything, there's probably some bit of truth. Like, there are probably dudes that have done good work, and there are probably squadrons that have, I'm not probably, there are, I mean, the fact that Russia is still outside the gates right now tells you that the Ukrainians are doing, I mean, they're doing what they need to do. And, you know, it's a terrible thing. War is hell. When we come back to whether the Ghost is right, some people say it doesn't matter. What I point out, and this is what I was talking about kind of in the opening, I don't want people to underestimate our opponent. You know, I don't, you know, when you start saying that one guy can do this, you are underestimating the ability of a threat country. And to say that, you know, one retiree can come out 4 years later, hop in an aircraft and be an ace in a day, underestimates. It not only underestimates the enemy, but it also gives credit or takes away credit from the other dudes that he's flying with, right? Because they're the ones, you know, I mean, how would you feel in your squadron, you know, if you're flying with Gonky, and because everybody loves Gonky, all of a sudden Gonky gets all the credit as the ace of, what is he, you know, the Gonky of Georgia, and, you know, he only got really 1 or 2 kills. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to make light of it, but my point being, you have to give the Ukrainian Air Force and the fighter pilots there the credit that they deserve when it's deserved, and not create these mythical people. Because what happens with the disappointment? What happens when you can't fulfill that? You know, I don't know, man. I've been talking too much. What's your take on all of this?
No, I agree, and I think you're spot on. You know, the thing that irks me, and we've chatted about this, and I've talked to other people about this, is, you know, we live in a world of headlines. We live in a world where truth doesn't matter anymore. It's what can you get people's attention with, because we're all very busy. So I don't have time to actually click on the article. I just want to know the title, and that's where these things get out of hand. In my opinion, you know, war sucks, period. Whatever side you're on, it doesn't matter. It sucks. Likely the vast majority of the people that are doing the real fighting either didn't want to be there, had no choice whether they were there. I mean, it sucks, you know, and it doesn't change because it's there. And I saw a post the other day where it was Ukrainian military members saying goodbye to their girlfriends and wives, right? And it went viral. And I'm like, our people have been doing that for decades, and it's given now because it's not exciting. Everything's exciting. We need excitement in our lives. And look, I'm not knocking it. Sure, I want it to be true. Logistically, is it likely? No. I mean, in 30 hours, if I flew any plane that I've ever flown in my career for sorties for however long for a 30-hour period, the fact that I would down more jets for maintenance. I mean,
well,
it's just
and
not.
That's a good point. Is, you know, these jets are, you know, your airfield's being attacked. You're getting these aircraft up. They're already, you know, it's not a wholly reliable aircraft in the first place.
Sure.
And I mean, you got to think. Like, I think about this. Like, even if you're on your absolute A game and you've been training for this, you know, there's a reason we don't train like this, because it's fighter tactics are not a one-man show. Like, and I think that's the biggest tell that this, you know, that this was made up from like Ace Combat or something, like a story, because we try to put a team sport on one person. And, you know, you've done this where we do decent, because this is defensive counter air. You've done defensive counter. Even if you're doing like an ambush cap or something like that, if it's not just you, you're relying on you're relying on good, solid GCI. I mean, somebody's got to give you the picture, especially in a MiG-29. You don't have that global situation because that's what you would have. You'd have to have godlike global top-down situational awareness to know where everybody is, to know who's friendly, who's foe, and then to be able to prosecute the attack without them shooting back.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're not just talking guns. It's not World War II. It's not the Battle of Britain. They have very capable missiles, and if they see you, so these are all unobserved attacks. I see it being possible. I just don't see it being likely. And that's what I will say. And I think the more that we propagate stuff like this that's unverified, I think it gives people the wrong sense of what war is.
Well, and I agree. And the other thing that comes up, and stop me if I'm getting too touchy because I don't want to make people angry, but I've heard a million times now, like, oh, well, it might not be real, but it helps the morale. And like, I don't know if it really does, to be honest with you. As somebody who's been there, first of all, the people that are actually holding the rifles and shooting are not sitting on Twitter. They're not sitting on Instagram.
Right.
They don't have time for this. It goes back to what I said in the last video about how I love every one of these videos. There's an attack and the person with their brand new whatever phone gets a perfect picture of it. That's not the reality of it. Does it help morale to some degree? Is there psychological warfare on both sides of any war? Yes. You and I have been trained in it. We've understood it. But I don't think it's really helping as much as people really think it is. And look, if it makes an individual feel good about that, great. But try to put and it's impossible. I can't even put myself in the position of the warfighter on the ground for his country.
Right.
Because I've never fought a war on the ground in my country.
Right. But they're bombing your house where you might not come back to an airfield or your house.
Like I would tell you if that was happening here right now, I'd be like, sorry, man, I can't get on Monday with Mover because I've got something going on. So it's just, but we live in this world where we expect everybody else in this world to want and to do the same things we do. And that's just not reality. And it's hard to me because I don't know if it really is helping morale. I think it's probably more of a psychological warfare aspect of it, which maybe it will be on either side, to where it's making, I'll tell you what, if I was going up against a country and there was the talk of this guy, I'd be like, well, maybe. All right. You're going to think twice a little.
I don't think the Russians are allowing their pilots to even I think they're so, channelized attention. Like for me, you say that, but for me, I can't think of a scenario where I'd be going into an OCA, offensive counter area, where I'm escorting strikers or whatever, where I would give one single crap about whether it's the ace of, because, cool story, bro, Fox 3. It's like I've got my targeting responsibilities. I don't care who's on the other end of that, as long as they're you're right. Now maybe on the ground a little bit before, JFS start 2 or you turn the APU on or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe that, while you're sitting there. But once you're in the jet and you start focusing on,
you're not thinking about anything.
What do I need to do next? I just don't see. Who cares? I'm gonna do that. I think some of this is for us as the guys and gals in the cheap seats cheerleading, and that's to me is a little selfish because it doesn't help. Like, it's I think the current president even said, if you want to help, give us guns. If you want to help, and to me, that you have to tell the right picture. Like if you want the international community to rally around you, you've got to tell the actual, here's what's going on. We need your help. Not, oh, dude, we got it covered. We got this one guy. He's killed all of them. There's no.
I agree.
It's Baghdad Bob. But
I agree.
Anyway, from the audience, any thoughts on the last flying AN-225 being blown up in Hostomel? Here's what I'll say: it sucks, but it can be rebuilt. I worry more about people, children, women, men, and anybody. I think it's a little insensitive to be like, okay, we'll build a new one, man. Gee whiz. I don't.
I've seen a lot of posts on that today, and I'm like, I'm with you. I'm like, to be honest, maybe it's just me. I'm like, who cares? I mean, it sucks, but it's replaceable. The
Yeah.
lives aren't. I don't know.
Houses, memories. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean,
uh, there's a flanker video on Instagram being shot down again. Is it? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of surface to air stuff, but air to air, it's all been DCS so far. Everything I've seen, I've yet to see, and the ones that aren't are either rejoins in formation. They're not even
sure.
because when you look at this, and we talked about this in the last video. The reason Top Gun looks like it does is because if you filmed what it really looks like, you couldn't see. You'd see one aircraft, you'd see the other one a couple miles away, and you'd be like, well, this sucks. Like, the biggest giveaway for me, these DCS videos, is the way the afterburner always looks. Like, it's got like a 10-foot flame out the back. And I don't know about you, but I was trying to think. I'm like, I've never been in a fight and looked over and been like, yeah, he's in afterburner because I can see the 10-foot flames. Like, you can't tell.
No, and it is. I mean, we've spoken about that too. That's what makes the Hollywood aspect of it cool.
Yeah.
You even saw it. I'll put it on you in your Finny Flight video.
Yeah.
There's very little of like the actual fighting of what you guys were doing because you knew. You're like, your viewers are going to be like, nah.
There's that one set. There's the one set. We did the beam set, and then I'm like zooming in so the audience could see what it was.
Yeah.
Well, again, that's T-38.
Still,
but
though,
even
I know that it's a bigger plane, but the point being is it's the same aspect. To put it into something that damn near everybody can relate. You're sitting in the window seat on an airliner and you watch it take off. It feels super fast, right? Yeah. And then you get up to 35,000 feet. You're probably actually going faster, but it doesn't feel fast. I mean, that's 100% what this is. And that's why movies like Top Gun are basically just scenes of formation flying. I mean, that's what it is. And that's cool. I mean, I'm not knocking that, but that's what it is. So I agree. The one thing I will say, I'll eat a little crow here and say that if anything I've learned from this, it's that DCS can be fairly realistic looking.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
So
if you go do DCS, you'll find like you'll sit there and like start reaching for switches because I mean it looks fairly real.
I mean some of these videos I'm like, it doesn't feel right. But
that's because and also too, these videos are taking a DCS video and then putting it in 360p. Like they're making it so low res that you're like, yeah, I guess that kind of. But then you look at it and you go, airplanes don't behave like that.
Yeah,
it takes a little bit of skepticism, and they say that the first victim in war is the truth. But not only that, but we live in an information age where anything can be real. Like
100%.
Anything can be manipulated. Anything can be. Like, you would think that in the digital age we would get immediate truth, but instead we're getting immediate whatever the narrative is. We're getting deep fakes. Like there was a deep fake the other day where it was a TIE fighter. Like they made a TIE fighter look like it was crashed on the ground and the car was driving by it, and you're just sitting here going, I mean, anything can be whatever they want. But
that's sad.
Cool, clear view on the topic. With all the pop culture going on at the moment, it is important to point out that underestimating an opponent is fatal. And absolutely, like I have said this, and people have gotten on me about this. Like I've written this in my books, I've written this, in articles. I have said Russia and China are our biggest threats. And I separate that from the people. It's the governments. Like Russian people are awesome. Like I know Russians. There's Russians that have moved here. Russians even there. Like I think the Russian people are awesome, and I think a lot of them don't like this war. But the governments of both of those countries are threats, and they are not our friends. And they are doing what they can to bring down, peace in the Western world to continue whatever objectives that they have. So just by pointing out that, hey, this doesn't look real, let's throttle back a little bit, does not mean it's automatic support. It's not binary, right? It's not like, I'm a Putin. Somebody called me a Putin bot the other day because I said, hey, this might not be real. And it's like, no, I mean, America first for me, however, and our partners and our allies.
Sure.
But I think the truth is important because when the truth goes away, anything, you don't know. Like, but what I will say, though, too, is I think we're going to get an awesome bit of intel out of this. There's going to be a
If
ton
we
of
don't,
treasure.
we are fools.
Well, but then, but even then, like I would look at that with a
Of
skeptical
course.
view, because I would look at that and go, let's not let our guard down based on the intel we get from this,
Of course.
because we don't know how quickly, like, it almost seems like it was rushed. Like Putin was like, no, just go do it. And nobody had planned for it. Nobody was like, oh,
Kind of.
wait, he's serious? Because they're running out of supplies. They're not doing the things that I would expect a major superpower to do. Now,
Mhm.
whether that's because I'm sitting here watching Twitter and the news, and I don't get to see what's actually happening, and everything's propaganda from one side or the other, or whether that's because there's a deeper story,
Sure.
I don't know. But I caution people from automatically dismissing any threat.
Agreed.
Because you don't ever want to underestimate your opponent. You never want to be in the situation where it's like, you always want to train like you're fighting Mike Tyson, not like you're, fighting his kid brother.
Yep.
I don't know. Does he have a kid brother?
I don't know.
Here's
We should
Bradley.
get him on the show.
Yeah, right. I can stay for my family. How do you say that? Lviv?
Yeah.
Too many consonants in a row.
There's
I
a lot
apologize.
there.
I can't. No one ever wants this to happen, and Wombat is right. War's terrible. I said that too. Don't just Wombat.
Yeah, but I was right.
Let's see. Let's see here. We got so many comments. This is unfortunately. This has been. I'm trying to get to the ones that have highlights. What do we know about the state of the Russian Air Force? We know their army is young, undertrained, experienced, and unwilling. What about their Air Force? See, that's the thing is,
Haven't heard anything.
I haven't.
Really?
Right. Like
Which
I
shocks me, honestly.
and that's why I question it. That's why I sit there and go, I know, they have decent equipment. They have,
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this the other day. They're getting at least as much training as we are, but I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very tough to say, and I'm not in the know. Nothing what I say. So
Thank.
Chris wants to unsubscribe. Okay. We sound like douches right now. Well, that's nice. See, this
Thanks,
is what
Mike.
I'm talking about. Nobody under. This is what happened when you talk about anything.
I feel like I've
People get-
sounded like way bigger of a douche before than right now.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll go ahead and.
Well, I will point out though that if this is your reason for unsubscribing, bye.
Yeah.
I mean that sucks, but it is what it is. I mean, there's no intent to, I mean, we're
It's
not
just a
downplaying
conversation.
a war,
I don't-
right? Yeah.
I don't.
So anyway, let's keep on going. Do you guys like telling people Santa is real, knocking people for having hope, inspired by obviously fake ghosts?
Whoa. Santa's not real?
Yeah. So okay, hold on a second. Now, if this was a meme created by a gamer, there's no hope in the first place. This is, if it depends on the origins of where this is. So, I mean, I don't know, Mike. It sounds like this channel is just not for you, man.
It's two separate things.
Yeah.
Two separate things.
Let's see. Do you guys think the UAF can still fly ops out of Ukrainian airfields? They are. I mean, they're flying drones, and there's some great drone footage.
The drone footage is
them
fantastic.
taking out.
Drones
taking
change
out
this
some,
whole world, man. They really do. Like, whew. It's a different world because of them. So, and I mean, all speculation, but the fact that, European countries are giving MiG-29s. You don't give MiG-29s to the Ukrainians if they can't actually fly them, right? If they have no airfields. I don't know. That would seem pointless, but.
Let's see here. Mike says, props to DCS for being so good. It fools many of us. Yep. I mean, that's one thing. What is hopeful to me is that it seems that the sanctions are already crippling the Russian financial market. And here in the West, stock prices for defense companies are up 10%, meaning we are able to align and fight evil. Yeah, but the problem with that, and I don't want to get into the geopolitical side of things, too much, is when you don't want to back an enemy into a corner. That's the only thing, I mean, you've got a despot in charge. You don't want to back. I mean, look at World War II.
Yep.
After World War I, we isolated the Germans into World War II. and the Japanese, I mean, with blockades and stuff, and eventually Pearl Harbor, I'm not saying it's wrong. I just said you got to be careful.
Yep.
That's,
You don't want your enemy to think they only have one option.
yeah.
That's bad.
Okay, I'm so far behind on the comments. Here we go. Ghost of Kiev embodies the fighting spirit. I don't think it robs credit, diminishes anything. I think it's just warrior spirit. I agree.
To some degree, sure.
I personally think, if it had been the ghosts, if it had been a squadron, I mean, obviously now we were just talking, how would you create the story better? But I think, rallying around a squadron versus one person,
Or
to me,
the squadron being the Air Force, right? I mean, it
yeah, or
doesn't
the
have to
people,
even
yeah,
be.
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see what else we got from the kids at home. ALS News Now. Biden gave China our Russian intel, for God's sake. Yeah, I don't know about that one, but
Yeah.
if that's true, that's not. Yeah, Chris says calling it straight isn't being a douche, and then some people can't tolerate different. That is, in the information age, that's correct. Like if it doesn't 100%, like people want to hear their opinion out of our mouths. They don't want to hear, like, I'm sure they clicked on whatever they thought that we wanted, just validation. Ukrainian Air Force, Navy, and stationary air defenses were destroyed with cruise missiles in the first 2 hours of the war. They hit everything, every single military and civilian airport with radar. I believe that. Like,
Wouldn't surprise
I,
me.
I don't, whether they're completely destroyed or not. I mean, I think they were degraded, and they have
Would
been
not
degraded.
surprise me.
I would not expect Russia to not do that. Like, I cannot imagine any kind of superpower or large military, any military. I mean, think about it. To not do that when you have the capability.
You're going into a war you don't want to win.
Yeah. So, yeah. Let's see what else we got. God, these comments this is quite a few people, which I appreciate everybody. Thank you for coming out.
There's going to be a lot of quicks on my website today, aren't there?
Yeah. I love how people can't handle a critical conversation. Yeah.
Were they talking about me?
Subscribe. Having a healthy and intelligent conversation about reality is important, and that's the point.
That's all it is.
I again, war is hell. War is not something to be taken lightly. War is not something that you make cartoon characters out of. It is something that you have to look at the realities and the costs
Sure.
associated with it, and know what you're up against. Know exactly what the stakes are, and what your capabilities are, and the enemy's capabilities are. And if that's not the case, then great. You've overestimated them a little bit, and it's a little bit easier versus thinking that you're dealing with incompetent fools. Because man, that's a good way to lose a lot of good people.
Here's the one thing I'll say to I don't want to even call them haters, the people that are putting up negative comments and things like that. I know for a fact of all of the whatever channels out there that are giving opinions on this, knowing you, Mover, if there is proof that this is real, you'll be the first one to do a video and say, my bad. I was skeptical, but here's the truth. Whereas the vast majority, they'll just kind of, that Homer Simpson meme where they go into the bushes, like that's what's going to happen. And that's the difference. And that's really what separates.
Well, I don't even want to get into that. I mean, I don't compare myself to other channels. I don't talk about other channels. That's not, I am, this is my channel. It's my responsibility. Whatever happens is what I do. I will say though, that throughout this, especially what we did Saturday, and I came back on that Saturday video, and I posted a screenshot that I saw that I said, well, maybe this is an explanation, not what I thought.
Sure.
What I will say for all of this, I am not going to make a definitive statement on this, because you can't, right? No. I'm not going to say, I'm giving my opinion based on my years of experience and training and flying different fighters and saying, look, here's what I think about it. I'm not going to say it's fake. I'm not going to say it's real. There are articles that have a source to it, but the source itself says, well, I heard something and maybe it was 3 or 4 kills. I don't know. So I don't think there's definitive proof one way or the other. I think it's unlikely. And so, if it turns out the guy's real and, he was killed or he's still alive or whatever the case may be, dude, that's awesome. You know, I'll be the first one to go. That's, you know, let's celebrate the fact that this exists in 2022.
Yep.
Just, you know, I mean, I think we could all use a little bit of healthy skepticism in the world without jumping on bandwagons and trying to get, you know, clicks or whatever it is as fast as possible without
Agreed.
properly vetting. And that's why I waited till today, and we weren't talking about this earlier, because let's let the picture settle a little bit and see. Here we go. What type of person posts these misinformation videos just to get more views? I appreciate your thoughts on this, Tomcats. People just riding waves. I mean, you ride what's
you need
trending.
to talk about something, right? I mean,
yeah.
that's the whole game.
Yeah. I really appreciate the nuance in your analysis and expertise. Thanks for I appreciate it, Rob. I mean, that's the thing is, you know, I think we live in a very gray world, you know, and I don't think there's any kind of, oh, this is 100% true. Because we always find out later that, oops, you know, turns out we were wrong. We've seen reports of even some of the Russian troops not even knowing what they were doing. You know, they get there and they're like, I thought this was a training exercise. What happened?
And that's believable because we've had our troops do the same thing. So,
if UCAF were given the platforms you guys flew as donations but needed pilots to operate them, would you fly for them as volunteers? That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
That's a tough one.
I need to know more before I volunteer for anything.
Would I volunteer? I mean, you know, here, 100%. You know, 100%. Would I fight until the death here?
100%.
Would I? I mean, I don't know. You know, I don't know. I can't say one way or the other. You know, whether if we were actually entering World War III and, you know, the fate of the Western free world were at stake, absolutely. I don't know. I mean, I can't say one way or the other. Thoughts on reports of shot down troop transport planes? Yeah, I 100%.
Totally plausible.
Yeah,
it's an easy target.
You're talking going into a surface-to-air missile, you know, engagement zone. I mean,
yeah, it's an easy target, and it's sad because frankly, the people on either side that are on the back of that plane.
Yeah. Can you two explain the origin of nickel on the grass tradition? Any link to the coins on a tombstone tradition? I don't know about the coins on a tomb. Well, that's to pay the. Is that the river Styx? The nickel on the grass thing it's a song. It was a nickel on the grass to save a fighter pilot's ass, and that was for the, you know, the old mythology about the river Styx and stuff like that. No question here. Just glad to listen. Thanks for being the voices of reason. Well, that's why I always bring Wombat. He is the.
Somebody called me douchey. What are you talking about?
I know, dude. This is the first stream I've ever been called douchey. My own stream. I guess it's because there's so many people. But
I feel like maybe your viewers are getting to know me better if they make that call on them.
It's rule number 1, though. We can't be a dude. You both are good. Propaganda happens on both sides. I personally think Russia is doing better than Western media is portraying. Hope war doesn't grow, and that's my concern. Is like, you know, I don't. You don't want to let your guard down, and then the next thing you know, Russia's rolling through Poland.
Yeah.
You know, man. Healthy skeptic. All right, FYI, here's some info. Twit longer. Yep. Full story was repost gone viral. Love you, Mover. Thanks for the conversation. Yeah, I've actually got that. I read a little bit from that. I have that up on here. I didn't want to read the whole thing. And that's exactly what he says. He says it was a 4 a.m. post. He had heard something on Discord about somebody had gotten a couple kills, 3 kills. He had never said 6 kills. And then this, you know, it grows. I don't blame. Like if we posted the IT Army of Ukraine, I don't blame them for running with this because, dude, it's good. I mean, our PA runs with stupid stuff all the time. I mean, if it helps their morale, that's fine for them. But we are not them. This is an international audience here, and I think it's important for us from the cheap seats, because we are watching this, to try to figure out the truth, because it's not our morale that matters. So I don't think that, and I hope not, I mean, maybe it's true, I don't think a Ukrainian soldier has heard about this and has high morale and then watches my channel and now has low morale. Like, I don't think I'm not arrogant enough to believe that.
No.
So I think
and
it's
if you were,
fine.
I would be the first person to tell you that your reach may be big. I may see an uptick in bulk sales whenever I come on here, but like, it's not that big.
I don't think there's a problem with us discussing this.
No.
You know, I mean, like, I can't imagine a scenario where they're watching this and then they're like, well, screw it. No Ghost. No. Yeah.
It's not human nature. I mean, and again, I think about it when I watch these things or when I read about these things, I try to put them here. How would I act if that was happening here
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
town here? What
Yep.
would I want my family doing? What would I be doing? It's like you said before, like I could care less about that. Your world becomes very narrow at that point. You care
That's
about the
survival.
next
It's survival.
second.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
care about that. And
Yeah.
I mean, and even being on deployment, I mean, we've all had the morale boosters on deployment, and you're like, dude, none of that. I don't care. I got a job to do right now. We can talk about
Yeah.
this later. You know,
I've got
it's so
targets to
it's
plan. I've got like I go airborne in 10 minutes. I got to
yeah,
go save the
yeah,
city. Like I
yeah.
don't have time.
Do I have enough piddle packs? Like, I mean,
Right.
these are the things.
Yeah. Am I going to run out of bullets?
Yes.
Keep it up, guys. You're far from douches. Thank you for.
I wouldn't go far from. That's the other
We're
end. Somewhere in the
slightly
middle.
removed. We're
Yeah,
slightly.
slight-
We're like 1 or 2 off.
Much like the
from the-
truth, it's somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, keep on keeping on, gentlemen. Solid educated inputs are what we need at the moment. Yeah, I just, and I'm not looking like guys watching, guys and girls. I'm not looking for validation, in what we're doing. I do appreciate it, but it's a discussion. It's an open,
Sure.
if I could get all the fighter pilots, and talk about it, I'd love to hear everybody's opinion.
Well,
like I
maybe
think this
not
is
all of them, right?
well, yeah. I mean, there's some that just like. Top Gun recommends. Also said that they attacked the Hostomel airport and seemed to destroy the AN-225. Rebuild it. Rebuild it and make it better. I mean, that's all you can do. You can't rebuild people. You can't, when you lose, human lives are more important than aircraft. I'm seeing footage of Russian jets at treetop level, manpads being launched at them. This seems nuts to me. Why are they coming so low in a jet? That's a good question. I've thought about that too, and that actually goes back to the other question I have, which was, the Russians have their own SAMs just on the other side of the border, which could easily reach out and touch anything in that airspace. So
Sure.
at any altitude, I mean, we're not just talking, and so I don't know. I think you have to take any video you see with a grain of salt because there's no context. You don't know what year it's even from. On that video we looked at last time, people were like, oh, that's from 2014. I said, well, can you send me a link? Because I'd love to verify that, and no one ever does. But there's a lot of stuff circulating that's from older conflicts. We just don't know.
Agreed.
I
Sorry, I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at one comment that caught my eye, which was
what did it say? I can't keep up with
it was wombat is cool, different but cool. Like, what's that supposed to mean?
That's true, actually.
It is. Yeah.
Do you think the majority of Russia's frontal force has been drafty cannon fodder? A lot of their equipment's in basic and I think they were surprised. Like if what we're getting is true, it almost seems like the people that they shoved in are just like, what are we?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So we're here now.
Why am I here? Yeah. So
what happened? Yeah.
What do I do?
These are real bullets. Like
I don't want to make light of it, but my favorite are the ones of the Russian, the Ukrainian farmers towing the tanks and like just running off with it, Grand Theft Auto style. I always find that funny. Thank you, Jeff. Speaking of tractors, there you go. Could be a farmer. Here's a Scoop Dog. If you take a side in this war, you're probably misinformed. Well, I mean, I think you can take a side of war is bad. And, this probably could have been avoided without loss of, or, could have been, without loss of life. I think you might make that argument regardless of what side you're on.
Sure.
Invading a sovereign country is a big deal, and we've done it. I mean, we've done it in the last 20 years. We had our reasons and we went to the international, the world, whether that's right or wrong, that's a political thing I don't want to get into, but,
Sure.
You look at it, people are dying. So, I think you can definitely be on the side of, hey, couldn't we have handled this a better way? But
Almost always can.
yeah. What does the defense of NATO airspace look like right now? Boy, I'm not commenting on that. That gets in. Are various fighters just running patrols along the border? Again, I appreciate the Brent, but that's something you don't want to get into any kind of tactical stuff here. You guys are not douchers. People have an issue with anything outside of their echo chambers. Props for keeping it real. Critical thinking is rare now, and that's the exactly.
I think it's cool. He gave you $4.99.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So true about not pushing too much. First day, 70% of Russian people, independent poll, were shocked against war actions. Pushing people to corner turn them anti-West. Hate brings hate. It
Yep.
does. And, you want change comes from within. If the Russian people want change, that's theirs to make. I do believe that as a people, people are usually good. It's their leaders that are bad. We've seen this throughout history. So, if you make it hard on the people, sometimes that's not really what you wanted. It's not going to bring the intent. I'm not for or against any kind of, I'm not saying that was a bad idea. I'm just saying caution.
Yeah.
That's all. Let's see here. Where is Gonky? Where's that good-looking fellow? Where's
Who
Gonky?
knows?
Gonky's out. He is the ghost.
Yeah. That's
So he's out there.
breaking news.
Yeah, the ghost.
Heard it here first.
Yeah, it's a good story. It inspires who it will inspire. But any UKR or AF pilot who straps in gets out of these there against those odds is a hero in my book. 100%. Like
Agreed.
that is the thing. It's not just one person. Like if the colonel came out of retirement, I don't care if he got 0 kills. He's a hero. I mean, dude, the ball just to go do that is awesome. Like, and that's my point. Is
Do you think he had to get a medical upchit?
yeah.
Because I feel like there'd be a lot of red tape if, like, say I was like, let's go. They'd be like, all right, well, you got to go to NAMI first for
Get
sure.
the NAMI whammy. You get NAMI whammied. You get NAMI whammied. Like NAMI would be being bombed, and they'd be like, nope, sorry.
You'd be like, sorry.
See
you have
my
an
previous
underbite? You have a little underbite? I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. It's
Is
with
that
an
a limp?
underbite. We can't let you go fight.
Yeah. Connor says, what are your thoughts on the amount of time it's taking Russia to get air superiority, and do you think it possibly shows any inadequacies in the RAF? Again, I would say, who is reporting, and what is the truth, and what I think I don't have the bigger picture of what is going on. Like, I don't know how they attempted to and what they failed to do. Is the reason that they can't because of SAMs? Like, is there an all-out air battle that we're not hearing about? Like, and defined air superiority. What is, like, I think that has to wait for the debrief. I think you can't, while it's going on real time, you can't make an educated assessment.
There's not enough good information out there.
No.
Period.
No. Tim says, as a former Intel guy, a dose of healthy skepticism was baked into our mentality. I still live by that mantra. Yes, absolutely.
Agreed.
Tim. Agreed. Ryan says, do you think China is taking notes on how they can survive the backlash for when they go into Taiwan? Regardless of Taiwan or not, China is always taking notes.
Of course they are. Just like we do. Just
100%,
like Russia does. The world does.
Yes. 100% China is always taking notes. It doesn't matter whether it's Taiwan or what. They are meticulously taking notes on everything that goes on 100%. In the world. What do you think? Could Putin take nuclear weapons in use? I hope not.
Oh, God,
I hope not. I hope not. I mean, if anything scares me about this is backing somebody who's nothing to lose in the corner.
No.
What do you think the KC-10s and K-135s doing circuits on the Polish and Romanian boards through Ukraine since the start of conflict, refueling UA fighters?
Who knows?
I don't know. And if
I don't know anything about what tanker guys, probably eating a lot of sandwiches and finding clouds. Those are the two things.
They've got an oven. They can cook.
Yeah.
They can cook.
They're definitely looking for clouds and always trying to be in a turn.
Flying into them, yeah. Hey guys, can we try it off autopilot this time?
Please.
No!
Please.
No, leave it on.
I've only been in the jet for 5 hours. Why not? It's fine.
I love that Russian population is protesting the war. Do you think this could lead to more and we see Putin removed from power by his own people? It's above my pay grade. It's so much above my pay grade. If I were writing this as a thriller novel, I would hope so.
Sure.
If I were writing this as something, I would hope so. But then it's the devil be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get something that's worse.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Also, congrats on the rotor wing commercial pilot. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, yeah, congrats on
since.
that, by the way.
Yeah, I haven't flown
cool.
since. I haven't flown since.
It's crazy, but you got it.
Oh, look, I just got to Wombat is cool, different, but cool.
Different. You can tell my wife that. She's going to be like,
Oh, wait. So the tweet about Russians fast roping from the International Space Station into Kiev might be fishy.
well, no, it was. No, I think that is clearly viable. right?
Wasn't that how they in Star Trek? Didn't they fast rope from a space shuttle? I don't know.
No idea.
We have to
No
get some
idea.
more nerds on here. Russia has united the UN in a way like nothing before. UN countries are sending aid and weapons, even fighter jets to Ukraine. Everyone knows Russia has to be stopped now or Europe is in danger. Yeah. This is going to trigger you. Mustangs for life.
The Shelby. Damn it.
Yeah. He really went after you there, Wombat.
Mm.
Hold on. Let me see
See a
if I can
Delta pilot?
Oof. I kind of understand why Russia doesn't want Ukraine to be in NATO. Cuban Missile Crisis, ring a bell. We seem to put nukes in any NATO country that would accept them. I disagree with Putin's actions, but I can understand why. But we didn't. See, that's the thing is it's a little premature. It hasn't happened yet. There's no immediate threat to justify loss of life. I mean, and maybe some diplomacy might have helped. Maybe prior.
What was that word you used?
Diplomacy?
What does that mean?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a statesman. Maybe that's. That said, doucher would be a great call sign. That would be awful.
I'm sure there is somebody out there.
There's a Navy guy somewhere out there that's.
Well, it's probably not anymore because of the great call sign embargo of whatever year that was.
Do you think Putin's nuclear threats are hollow? I would never, ever underestimate a nuclear threat. Never, not in a million years.
Because by the time you find out that it wasn't hollow, it's too late.
Yeah. Are the Russians using Su-57s? I don't think so. I don't think so. Because I think there's, and again, people always confuse this. Operationally, so serialized production models that are at the squadron, I think there's only like a handful of them. And every video I've seen of them has only been during air shows and parades. So, and plus, I don't know that this war is, that they call for it yet, you know? I mean, I don't know. Why does it seem like Russia deliberately target the civilians, and what's the purpose of it? It could be a lot of things. I mean, if they're deliberately targeting it, it could be the shock and awe to make it a costly war, to make them capitulate. I mean, that's one thing. The other thing is could be incompetence. You know, I mean,
true.
If they're as bad as their tactics suggest in the media, it could just be straight up like,
whoops.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, above my pay grade. Super sticker. Thank you.
I don't know what that means.
Let's see.
I should get a YouTube channel.
Wombat looked like Jay Cutler.
I'm going to take that as a compliment. That's fine.
Looks like you're on the field. You just don't care. Gonki's playing volleyball with his shirt off somewhere. Oh, man. Here we go. Daisies. And finally, Germany reaching NATO 2%. Good. They're paying their fair share. Good for them. We always talk about that. If the Ace story is true and he ever visits the States, you Wombat and every winger better not let him pay for a single drink. 100%.
I never would. Never would.
If it's true, I will be the first. Like, I got to interview this guy. We got to tell his story. Yeah. You know, absolutely. I want it to be true. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, as a fighter pilot, I think it's cool, and dude, go do the work. But nothing. There's just no evidence. There's no evidence either way right now that we can say yay or nay. Could AWACS be helping Ukraine's Air Force? You know, I would say the problem with any U.S. forces overtly helping is it becomes a NATO action against Russia.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I don't know. You know, I can't. I don't know. I mean, they're not a NATO country, so they don't know how to work with our AWACS.
Yeah.
Thanks for the analysis, guys. Any good sources covering the air war well you can recommend? Yes. Actually, you bring that up. I just followed them. How do I look up who I just followed?
Oof.
Do I know how to do that?
I don't know.
There's this. All right. So it's the Intel Crab. It's at Intel Crab. And then y'all can follow me on Twitter too, CW Lemoyne, or on Instagram. I'll retweet some of the stuff that I think is good. And Elint News. Those are the two that I just followed, at Elint News, ELINT News. They seem very, and this is not a, what do you call it?
Referral.
Well, it's not a referral. You're right. This is just personally what I've found that has had some good information to try to keep up with it. I mean, if they end up being like some weird terrorist organization, don't hold that against me. I just think it look cool.
Elent news, though, that has to be good, right? I mean, it
Yeah,
sounds
it
official.
says right in the name. It sounds. How easy, hard, so to speak, is it for a fighter jet to find and defeat combat drones? Difficult, especially when those combat drones have stealth characteristics. I mean, you're talking.
They're tiny.
That's. Plus, once you find them, then you got to figure out what to do about them. You know, I mean, are you going to waste a missile on them? Or are you going to strafe them? Like, they're wily, man.
Yeah.
My question: why are Russian fighter jets getting shot down by Stingers? According to experienced American pilots, this should not even be possible because they're flying at low altitude.
Why
And
should it? Whoa. Why should it not be possible?
I guess they're saying if you're flying at medium to higher altitudes where, I mean, maybe that's why it should not be possible.
I
I
don't
mean,
see why
to
it
me,
would
if
be
you're
possible.
flying low altitude, I mean, because you're not going to get any kind of indication, right? Unless you have a missile warning system.
Yep.
So, I
I think
mean,
with the way, if they are flying low, then absolutely that's why they'd be getting shot down.
yeah,
It's the, single bullet theory, right? I mean,
the
sucks,
golden
but
BB. Yeah.
that's what I
Kind
meant.
of obvious that some of Putin's generals was disgusted by his declaring level up the nuclear forces. I hope so. I mean, I hope so. I would hope not. Christian says, I don't think Russia deliberately targets civilians, but I do believe they won't care about civilians if the offensive isn't going their way. I,
Yeah, I don't know. Not an expert.
excited for all the surplus Russian gear post-war. Do we still have that embargo on AKs and Russian ammo?
I know I
Wasn't
don't
that
have
a
an
thing?
AK, so that maybe.
I've got an AKV. These were a reference to the woman who told the Russian infantry to put sunflower seeds in his pocket so they grow when he dies. Yep.
Gotcha.
Holly Movie Star says this conflict is partly a result of the Biden administration signaling last year for a drastic shift towards renewables and desires ending petroleum use, whether or not feasible in less than a decade. That is beyond the scope of this channel.
Oof.
That for sure will get people pissed off at me.
Oh, are we gonna start talking about electric cars again?
Oh my God. Hey, I've reached the end. You know what, though? We said we were only going to do this for an hour, so here's our hour point. Wombat, any parting shots?
Take a deep breath when you read something. Don't believe
Pause.
everything you read on both ends.
Yeah. Pause.
Hug your families and enjoy the freedoms that you do have. Try to think of things from other people's perspectives, which we're really bad at, myself included.
Yeah. I would say to add to that, have an open mind, but also, be skeptical when you need to. Wait a second, wait for the picture to settle, make sure it actually makes sense before you share some information, but also don't underestimate what this may become. I mean, these things sometimes blow up in this. This is how world wars start, and I don't want that to happen, but don't underestimate what could happen and think that it's never going to happen to us. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Last one. Why are E8 AWACS, RC-135, sometimes B-52 flying with transponders on over Poland? I don't know.
No idea.
I don't know. I don't know. They're not in combat, so I don't know. Anyway, Wombat, dude, it's a pleasure. Everybody go check out Wombat's book. You can follow me on the gram or Twitter on that. You can follow, is that your Instagram, your Twitter as well?
Yeah.
Okay. You can follow him. You can buy a book. You can send him something. This is not a mover mailbag, but I just like throwing that up there anyway. Send him some stuff. I appreciate everybody for watching. Thanks for your support. Thank you for all the questions and stuff. We'll have more. I've got the continuation of my interview with the Saab Gripen demo pilot. That finishes up. That'll be released in a couple days. That is awesome, man. He was a cool cat. He's just really nice.
Yeah, you're getting way cooler people on. Like, I'm going to be gone soon. You're going to be like, Wombat who?
Nah, dude, I bring you on. You're doing great. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Great Monday. Again, thoughts for the people in Ukraine. And we'll see you on the next one. Y'all take care.